Come and check out my elephant ear with me. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? It sits on my patio. Unfortunately, upon closer looking, it has spider mites. They're teeny tiny, hard to see. You have to look very closely. Little teeny tiny red spider mites. Spider mites actually create little teeny tiny webs, just like a normal spider would. The webs can be waterproof, which makes it harder to treat sometimes. They don't hurt you, but they do hurt the plant, and they can make your plant sick over time if you don't catch it, and they can really take over. I have had situations much worse than this one. If you look closely, you can see all the webbing and all the spider mites. Underneath needs to get cleaned up as well too. And if you look at the soil, you can tell it's dry, so it's good and light for me to wheel around the patio. And I'm going to use my handy dandy water sprayer to knock them off. This is a close-up of the little teeny tiny red spider mites active on the leaves. What I do first is I spray it down with water, and yes, I choose violence. You really have to knock them off, and I'll show you later in the video where even then the webbing can be like waterproof, so you really have to knock the spider mites off as well as their webbing. You have to make sure that you get under the leaf as well. It's really hard to do with one hand while you're trying to record. So I had my 8-year-old daughter tried to help, excuse the video. But this way you can get the front of the leaf as well as underneath the leaf really well. I also like to spray the stalks and even the little divots because they like to live in there as well too, even in the soil. And we're going to do a spot check to see how we're doing. It looks good. Looks good so far. Checking all the little hard to see areas. Check and make sure that's not webbing because it is pretty much waterproof. No, looks good so far. Now we're going to let it kind of dry for just a minute. And now a quick break to some National Geographics in my front yard. Oh my God. Jeremy, come here. Hurry up, come here. I don't know what's happening in my front yard right now. This is crazy. And now back to your regularly scheduled program. This is a mixture I use to kill the spider mites. Miticide, insecticide, neem oil, and some Dawn dish soap. Just follow the directions based on how much mixture. I think I use 1 gallon, so I think I use 6 teaspoons of each oil and then 2 teaspoons of the Dawn. This works really well. You just have to make sure you spray the top and the bottom of the leaves. Of course, now the wind wants to come through. But this oil does wonders. It smells like peppermint oil and some other oils. Neem oil does not smell very well. Also, please be careful when you do use this. You don't want to use it in too hot of weather. I think over like 90 degrees. You also don't want to use it in direct sun because you can burn your leaves. Also, you can also hurt beneficial insects as well, such as bees. So you want to make sure you're very careful when you use this, that it's not while they're out foraging or when they're around. But it does a wonderful job to knock the spider mites off, and the ones that are still there, it kills them because it suffocates them and they do not like it. Insects do not like the smell and this mixture. So it is perfect to get rid of them, and it really does help. Unfortunately, once you have spider mites, you pretty much have to continue to treat them. I have not been successful, excuse me, in getting rid of them 100% of the time. You have to use some pressure to make sure that you get the leaves. Also a little foot action when you're videotaping with one hand. And now we got the pressure back up, so now you can really knock off some of the webbing and some of the insects as well. This particular sprayer works really well because it has enough pressure to knock off some of the webbing, but you really have to pay attention because that's why these are so hard to get rid of, is because if you miss a spot, there could be like webbing with eggs in there. Excuse me. So you just have to really take a close look and just make sure everything's okay. Even the teeny tiny little leaves, I like to look under those too. That's where they like to live, is closer to the soil, but they can be all the way up on the bigger leaves as you saw earlier. I even like to treat the soil as well, but I got to get all the stuff out of there, so cleaned it out and then I sprayed. I even sprayed around the pot as well. Just checking on the smaller leaves. Sometimes they can be a little harder to get to, but they look pretty good. Maybe some little spots here and there. Comet is the breeze in my hair on the weekend. Now time to do a final spot check. Looking closely here, unfortunately, that webbing is a beast. Even though I chose violence, I was not violent enough. You can still see it on there. So we're going to spray it one more time, get the pressure up on the on the water pressure with the oil, and see if we can knock that off a bit more, and then we should be good to go. I also like the oil because with this mixture it's not too heavy, but it does leave a nice little sheen on the leaves like this. Just be careful not to put in direct sun for 24 hours. And all this mess has to go as well. Going over to my other plant, which is the hibiscus, it also has the same nuisance problem with the spider mites. These are my other babies in my pool screen. The hibiscus, it has something eating it, so I wanted to check it out. Oh, and we got a little baby leaf coming through. I had to do a chop because unfortunately it got attacked by aphids and spider mites. The oil does wonders for the spider mites and also mealy bugs as well. I use something different for aphids. I use a Bio Advance for the aphids, and that knocks them out. This one I treated a little bit ago, so it's not too bad, but you know, since I have some oil left in the canister, I'm just going to go ahead and treat this as well. A good test is when you spot a spider mite, it leaves like a rust stain looking when you kind of rub them and you kill them. On your finger, it leaves almost like a little rust stain looking. So that's a surefire way to tell if it's spider mites or not. This is also a natural way to get rid of insects, 100% natural and organic. And try to get the top of the leaves and the bottom of the leaves the best you can. This one I don't have to be so rough with because I'm trying to stay up on it a little bit more. which means I can treat it a little bit less or just more often, as it doesn't have any infestation like the other one did. And when I see a terrible leaf like this, just go ahead and pull it off, because you don't know what kind of disease. Oh, I knocked a flower off. Keep them all together. I like to keep all the waste together, and I will throw them in the trash because I don't like to cross-contaminate with any other plants left out on the patio. I'm not sure what got on this guy, but he's going too. And while I'm at it, might as well spray the crotons and the philodendron, and try my best not to get the oils in the pool, but this works really well on mealy bugs too, and it really helps the shine of all leaves. Just be really careful, not in direct sunlight, in the heat, or around beneficial beneficial bugs like bees and things like that as well, of course. And a final look through. Everyone looks good and healthy. Started to throw it away, but then, boop, realized there's not a liner. There it is. Next trash can has a liner. Done. Oh, some more waste. Got to clean that up. Aphids and spider mites do love to munch on all the waste, so it's a perfect little hideout. I don't even like to put that in the yard. That goes in the trash as well. Time to put this guy back where he goes, so he can shine in all his glory. Perfect. He looks good and healthy now. And I like to wash off, the waste, and the oil isn't too bad, but it can get a little slippery on the painted concrete, I've noticed before. And time to put everything back in the shed. That way I know where to find it the next time I have an infestation. Thanks so much for watching.